not only for the Paarl Rocks fans, I want to go into a little bit of the guys. Obviously, they saw you come onto merge onto the international scene, and they don't really know much about you and your childhood and stuff. So I just want to dive into that. Just start off how you got into cricket, and and your school levels.
Yeah, look, I think I've been incredibly lucky to come from a really strong and solid family, and that's sort of where I started playing cricket. Was with my uncles, my dad in the backyard, obviously being very young, and from there obviously just grew a love for it. As you do in primary school, you sort of try to play all sports, but cricket was really the one that I enjoyed the most, and I got a lot of pleasure from doing well, and so I just kept playing all sports for as long as I could, but cricket was always the one that seemed to have the edge above the rest. And from there, I mean, was lucky enough to, I think at the age of 13 I played a provincial week.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Standard Bank one, I think. I don't know if it's still that. And from there I actually didn't play any provincial cricket, school cricket after that. Did the trials and was my own worst enemy in terms of not doing well enough at the trials to not get selected. And then eventually it was that story with Ray where I'm not sure how he asked, but I think generally in the northern setup there's loads of good schoolboy batters, and he was asking about guys who hadn't made the Coke Week side at the time, that had been left out, but that were potentially still good enough or whatever it might have been. So my name popped up, quite a few names popped up to be fair, and there was then a massive under-19 camp, I think with maybe 35 guys, just for Ray to sort of, I think, scout and see who he'd like. And from there, I think Ray took a liking to me. We bumped heads, obviously, but worked our way through it and managed to sort of bring out the best in me. And from there, it's been pretty smooth sailing. So I've been very lucky. Did under-19 cricket, and then 1.5 or 2 seasons of amateur cricket, which for me was probably the best part of learning I've ever done. People say or ask sort of why were you getting impatient of not going straight into franchise cricket, and in hindsight I'm so happy it worked out the way it did, because it gave me 2 seasons to work out game plans in the longer form of the game, to rub shoulders with guys who were very experienced at that level, and that helped me, like I said, develop plans and realise that it's a step above just playing your normal school cricket.
I want to dive in a little bit more into your high school cricket and playing for Pretoria Boys High. And what was it like at high school for you? When did you first make the first team? How did you work your way up into the team?
Yeah, so I went to school at Pretoria Boys High. Obviously, for any boys high guy, I will tell you it's one of the best schools in the world. But more so not for the sport, more just for the values that sort of instill. And I loved playing cricket. I only got to Boys High in Standard 8, Grade 10.
Okay.
And made the first side at the end of that year, at the back end of that year, once the matrics at that stage had left, because they left, I think, maybe September-ish, because of exams and whatever the case might have been. And then from there, stayed in the first side there. And the school cricket, I remember it to be incredibly competitive. There's so many good cricketing schools in Pretoria, the likes of the Affies and Menlo Park, Waterkloof. There's loads, and the level was always competitive. So it was nice to play school cricket. It wasn't a case of really thinking much about the game. So that changed quite a bit after school, because if I compare it to now, I'm quite an in-depth thinker of how the game works and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's you bump your head as you do, and you learn your lessons. But really enjoyed school cricket, yeah.
And during that period, obviously from primary to high school, who was your idol growing up? Who did you look up to, internationally and South African-wise?
Look, being a young guy, I always liked the way Henry Davids played. Watched a lot of cricket for the Titans, and he was, like, for me, one of the most pleasing to watch. And obviously then you've got your Jacques Kallis and Sachin Tendulkars on the international stage that, in their own right, were both best players in the world. So all of them you loved watching, but more so sort of those three, it was you'd watch that extra bit for them. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about leading up to that famous World Cup win. Selection for for Northerns first, which teams you played for, and then how you went about making it into that under-19 team.
Yeah, it's actually quite an interesting story. Like I mentioned, I didn't play Coke Week at school, the under-19 provincial week. But like I said, down to my own fault, not scoring enough runs during the trials and the season. But then I think Ray sort of organised a camp where majority of the players at the camp were from the Coke Week, different sides at the Coke Week, and there was I think 5 or 6 of us that hadn't played Coke Week but that were invited.
Can you name some of the players that you...
A guy, Tian Kukumur, I don't know if you can remember him, Leas deployed that year, he was a year younger than us, but that year he didn't play the Coke Week, if I'm not mistaken, but still got invited to the camp. There was a few, and Drian Brewer I think was another from Afis. And we went to this camp, and it was obviously quite a big eye-opener for us because the highest sort of level we had played was just our school cricket in the Pretoria League. And then you get exposed to the best cricketers in the country, obviously at under-19 level. And that was really cool. It was a massive eye-opener. You sort of feel a little bit of like, you know, you've been thrown in the deep end, but I mean, that's where you learn to swim as well. So it was nice. From that day, I think they cut down the squad or that camp a little bit less, and it was luckily because I'm born quite late in the year, I qualified to play that Cubs week. So I made that Cubs week side, and we did alright as a Northern side. And from there, I think it was just a thing of Ray sort of really wanting me to be in his team for some reason, and I was fortunate enough for him to have made it happen. So yeah, we went to our World Cup. If we think back to then, obviously KG now has set the world on fire, but at that stage he probably wasn't one to be sort of reckoned with. He always had that express pace, and everyone around at the World Cup knew that. But he was our only real, maybe call it X-Factor player. The rest of us were just your normal under-19 cricketer, whereas the other sides had like all these names, and no one really would put their money on us to win, you know what I'm saying? And we gelled really well as a side, and I think that sort of was our sort of secret ingredient. I think at under-19 level it's quite easy just to play for yourself, because you know you're probably never going to play with these guys again, and you've not really played with them much before. So it's about looking after yourself, and we didn't get that sense at all in our side. It was a proper vibe of playing for the guy next to you, you know, the good old cliche, and it really worked. Bought into a plan of we had like a green dot versus a red dot process. That's good enough. He was our cop doctor. And we tried to get as many green dots as we could, obviously. So there's 300 in the innings, meaning 50 overs. And the more, if we believe the more green dots we had, we'd probably win the game if we had more green dots. So that's how we broke it down, literally ball for ball. And it ended up working really well. I think our bowlers obviously won us the World Cup. I don't remember chasing a score higher than, I think, 240. And that's where you can go to your KG. Corbin Bosch at the time was bowling so well, Justin Dill I remember. So we had a nice bowling attack, and we managed to put sides in and then just try to chase whatever we could.
And your experience over there, obviously, what are some of the things, like, you want to know the off-the-field things, so like as a group, you and KG obviously were together, but what did you guys get off to? I mean, I spoke to Kal Verreynne about his under-19 tour to Bangladesh, and he spoke about them putting bricks on the plane to level it out. Are there any funny stories that you...
I tell you, we didn't have much. The World Cup was in Dubai, so obviously that country runs smoothly. But it was a big eye-opener. I think at that age, you're just spending time with everyone. You have your guys who push the boundaries and sort of to get up to, not no good, but you know, they always see the town and things like that. And it was each little guy for themselves on that tour, but in the same breath we were still sort of in the same group. But I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that stood out that was really funny at the time.
You see, for me, as a cricket fan at the time, before I was a journalist, that was the tournament that I watched quite closely, and you were one of the players that I picked out as one of my favorites at the time, and KG as well. So I wanted to see you track your progress, and when I became a journalist, and the first thing I wanted to know is where's Aiden Markram? Where is KG Rabada now? But obviously KG was making it on the scenes and he went straight on. Was it difficult for you? What happened after the World Cup? There was a bit of a break before you actually played for the Titans and stuff. What that period? I just want to know what went on in that period.
Yeah, so I got back. I was very involved with Tuks cricket at the time.
Okay.
Obviously, being fresh out of school, you have to go somewhere, and Tuks cricket was such a great platform to be at, to learn my game. So I was there for a bit, in between Tuks and the Northern's amateur side, and I did that for about 2 seasons. At the time, the Titans had loads of top order batters. I know Dean when he was around. Dennis the Brain was at the Titans at the time. Henry was top order, so there was no holes, there was no way in, and it was a case of sort of being patient enough and waiting for a chance. But I think it's like I said, it's probably one of the biggest sort of blessings in disguise that I've had, because it gave me 2 seasons to work out my game at amateur cricket on tough pitches, and I'm super grateful for how it worked out.
So in that difficult period, did you ever think about maybe going to another franchise? We see a lot recently, a lot of players will move around, like Tienus went to the Knights, for example. You have a lot of people moving around franchises. Did you ever think about that? Or not only that, did you ever think about maybe going overseas?
Yeah, there was a stage where I considered, maybe leaving the franchise, because it's a bit of a catch-22, because you don't want to. If you could play at franchise cricket, you don't want to give up that opportunity. So whether it be at a certain franchise, you'd almost want to, you'd lean in that direction and make the move. But there was it was at a stage where we could sort of sense that there might be a whole sort of opportunity coming. I can't remember. I think it was a season where Dean played a lot of Test cricket. Yeah. And there was a spot, and I thought, I sort of put playing aside, and I thought about my learning process as well. Yeah. And at the time I was learning heaps at Northerns, at Tuks, and when I was in the Titans setup. So all 3 were working wonders for me, and I sort of just said, let's just bait fuss and once maybe we'll get an opportunity. Unfortunately it worked out. Yeah. But there was definitely thought. I think once you've just left school, you expect things to happen like that, because that's almost how it happens at school. Yeah. Because the pond is a lot smaller, as they say, at age group cricket, whereas then you come into the big pond and you still have that mindset that no, but things should be happening quickly, and then that's when the guys are looking at different franchises or overseas. So I think you need to weigh up opportunities. When could it come, and is it worth sort of waiting it out or not? So for me, I'm very fortunate how it turned out, and I'm glad I stayed put. But there was thought of maybe moving franchises.
Was it difficult for you to see like someone like KG make it go straight from international straight into internationals? I mean, straight into franchise and international. Was it difficult for you to see someone that you captain do so, and it being a little bit more difficult for you?
I think there was that sense of how do you say, like, should I be at franchise cricket or not? And my thoughts at the time was most definitely not, because the Titans top order has X, Y, and Z players, and those are players that I've actually been looking up to my whole life. Exactly, so who am I to say no, I need to play ahead of them? Exactly. But for KG to burst on the scene the way he did, firstly there was a gap in the market for raw pace at the time, and KG grabbed the opportunities with both hands, and look what he's done with it. Yeah. Whereas that's what I think it's come down to. I think it's the opportunity versus who it was. I think KG was always going to set the world on fire. He always had that ability, he's got that X factor as well. So it was going to happen at some stage for him. There was an opportunity straight away for him, and he grabbed it with both hands. Same with Quinny. Whereas, I mean, it's not you don't have a Quinny and KG sort of every year. So the normal way to do it is to buy your time and learn your game, and be patient to wait for your chance.
And then you took the Titans by storm when you finally got your opportunity, and it was in the List A game that I think really put you on the stage in front of everybody for them to see how talented you really are. You had a game against the Lions where you scored a massive 180, you scored 161 in the final with Henry Davids in that record stand. He spoke about it earlier, and how mature you are and everything. So just talk me through that period, just before your call up to the national side. What conversations with who did you have, and what was your frame of mind at the time?
Yeah, and I can link it back to that learning your game plans. I remember at that stage, our coach Mark Boucher was like, he gave me such a clear game plan, and I'd sort of been playing my cricket under that sort of frame of mind, so it worked really well for me. I was going to be the guy who bats for long periods of time in white ball cricket, because there's so many explosive players in the rest of our lineup, and that that worked perfectly for me. So at the time I was batting with a very clear mind and a very clear plan, and that's probably half the battle won. So I was fortunate enough to have the experienced heads around me, and also the X-factor players around me for me to allow me to play just my normal, pretty low-risk game. Yeah, it's one of those. I remember the Lions game. I think I actually nicked off in the second over, but a full of nick, and for somehow at the Wanderers it didn't carry. So I mean, you need a bit of luck to score runs like that. But yeah, super fortunate as well. The high felt wickets are always good wickets, and the ball flies. So yeah, it was nice to be there and to have done that.
Let's move on to your Test debut. Obviously, that was an amazing achievement for you to make it into the Test side, and scoring that 97 and going out the way you did, and also with your opening the batting with you said you've spoken about before with Dean Algis, a quite close friend of yours. Talk about the conversations he's had with you to help you settle in, and your frame of mind in that 100, and how disappointing it was for you to go out the way you did.
Look, obviously, when you know you're going to make your Test debut, it just sort of brings so many butterflies in, and a lot of nerves, a lot of sort of nervous energy. So it was nice to, once the anthems and everything was done, just to know we were batting first, because it's a bit of a comfort zone. Getting out to the middle, and it feels like all those nerves just go away because you're doing something you enjoy, and it's your little bubble and comfort zone. So that was really nice. Dean's obviously helped me so much since I've met him at the Titans. So to have opened with him was quite special. It's a guy I really look up to, and I like the way he plays the game. And I mean, it worked out well. He carried me through my whole innings, kept me nice and calm and clear. And I mean, you get out in different kinds of ways in cricket. That day it was a run out, and I was by no means angry. You go through your stage of disappointment as you've gone out, whether you've been run out or caught behind or whatever the case might be. But I mean, it was tea straight after that, and when Dean walked in, it felt like he'd just been out. He walked in and almost tore down the change room, and it just shows what sort of guy he is, the amount of care, and it's a genuine thing, you know. It wasn't like not a show that he puts on. So I mean, I actually went and sat down next to him after he'd cooled off a bit during tea, and I said to him, don't think about what's happened. You know, he basically scored my 97 runs for me. So don't think of the 3 that he might have stopped. You take 97 on Test debut and you run. I mean, it would have been great to get 100, but if he asked me to take 97, I probably would have taken 97.
Well, it came for you. Finally came for you. Talk to me about your maiden cinch.
Yeah, it was in Bloem. Quite a special feeling, a completely different feeling I've had. And again, a really good wickets, and Dean at the other side. So it just works. He knows exactly what to say and when to say, and he keeps me going for long periods of time. I think in the past I've been, where I get it wrong is I don't do the right things for long periods of time. So I might get myself in and then get out. So Dean's my guy who really keeps me going and keeps me going for long. So it worked out really well. I think we actually got off to, I think Dean might have also scored 100. I actually think he did. So the opening partnership was 200 plus, and it just sort of flushes all those, you know, I mean, if you get 97 in the first test, you don't want it to be a once-off thing. You really want to make sure you can keep going. You don't want guys to think it's a fluke innings or whatever the case might be. So it was nice to get it. It was a relief, especially because there was a lot of chat in the week before the test, you know, missed out on 100, missed out on 100, but there was never really chat of Dean, who almost got his double done. I think he was 199 or something in the second innings in Potch. So yeah, it was nice to sort of get it off and settle the dust.
and then biggest test of your career, but possibly so early. You have to face India and then Australia. I mean, India you got close, you got a 94 I think it was. There was a little bit of a talk with Virat Kohli when you walked off. I just wanted to know, did you have any interaction with Virat? Did he speak to you? Did he chat to you? Because I mean, for him as a captain and also as a young player coming through, he kind of went on a similar path to you in a way, you could say, for internationals. So just talk to me about that 94 and how disappointed you were with not getting a century, or how proud you actually felt, because I think a 94 against the best test team in the world at the time was a great achievement.
It was a nice feeling. That 94 I remember very clearly, and it's probably the most disappointed I felt. Because like you say, it's the best team in the world, and you just get the chat of, he scored 100 and you want to do it against the best in the world, and I was really hungry for it and got out to Ashwin, caught behind. But yeah, I walked off and Virat came to me and he said something along the lines of well played, and it was nice to hear. It was a nice gesture. He plays the game really hard, and I've got nothing against that. So he came across and said that, and it's a nice feeling, He's the best player in the world and a guy who I absolutely admire the way he plays and his ability. It was nice. It was warming, but obviously I was very disappointed at the time as well.
And then obviously the ODI series came about and Faf got injured and they kind of threw you into the deep end straight away and told you swim, be captain. So you were captain of the ODI side. How difficult was that? How challenging was that? Obviously, I knew it was challenging, but
it was really hard. To be honest with you, not the captaining part, more just the fact that the series result was sort of as bad as what it was, and it was. I mean, we were really getting outplayed in all three aspects of the game, and it was a tough time, especially being quite young, and at the time I hadn't established myself in the ODI side at all, so it was a lot going on. Look, don't get me wrong though, it's an incredible feeling to captain your country, and it's a dream come true as well. But it was tough. It was a tough month. They had their tails up, and we all know when India's playing with their tails up, they're a tough side to beat. Virat was in form. They've discovered their new quicks, loads of skills, and then they've got all the spinners as well. So it was really tough. I enjoyed the challenge of captaincy though. I enjoy the off-field things, the pressures that come with it and the responsibilities that come with it. But when you don't get the results, then you're also the first to not catch the blame, but you hear about it first, and that's fair because it comes with the job, like I say. So it was a challenge, but I learned a lot from it after I'd processed everything. So yeah, the tough months, but probably in the longer run I'll probably think back and be grateful for it.
Now we obviously know about the controversial test series against Australia. I mean, so much happened. I mean, I was with the team with you guys at the time, flying around and seeing the different games, and it was quite a shock for me. First with the whole David Warner thing, and then we went from David Warner straight to the sandpaper gate. Wow, for you as your first series against Australia, tell me about that experience.
Yeah, that was incredible. I actually remember going to Faf into the Cape Town test, I think it was. It was the day after everything, the sandpaper thing happened, and I went to him and I said, this is not test match cricket, because India was tough, but there wasn't that, I don't know, it's just that thing when you play Australia, it's just absolutely heated. And I said to him, is this? And he says, this is by far the most sort of dramatic series he's been involved in. So it wasn't like, it was obviously an eye-opener, but it wasn't like it's the regular. It was a little bit over the top.
Yeah, I mean, after that event, I can give you an example. Like, I spoke to Crystal the day in the press box, and I asked her, I'm like, Crystal, this is my first ever series against Australia. Like, as a journalist, I'm like, what just happened here? So she's like, look here, this is something that's never happened before. It's the first, so it must have been the same for you as a player.
It was a really tough series. Their bowling attack for me is those three quicks, and then Nathan Lyon as a spinner is probably the best test bowling lineup I believe you'll face in conditions that suit fast bowling. So it was tough, but it's a nice tough. You're always staying in the challenge because firstly, there's a guy that's bowling quite fast at the other end. So if you're not switched on, he's probably going to do some damage. But also for the bragging rights. You know, it's obviously quite a heated series, and it was a heated series. So it was good. It was very dramatic, and the feeling after that series, after that last test finished, it felt like a load of weight off your shoulders, because that's how much was happening and so quickly as well.
Okay, you don't have to answer this question, but before the whole debacle with the tunnel, Quentin was, I think, with you at the time. There was a time when you guys were towards the crease.
Yes, sir.
There was the rumors going around that they were targeting you because you're the young batsman, chirping wise. Were the Australians targeting you?
I caught quite a bit of verbal chat, if you want to call it, while at the crease. And I didn't do myself any favours by running out AB either.
Yeah.
And that just sort of threw a bit of petrol on the fire, and it got I wouldn't say, to me it really got too personal. It was just a lot, and it was it just got heated, and it stayed with me throughout my knock in the second innings. So that happened, but then when Quinny came in, he got quite a bit as well. I can't remember exactly what they said. It was borderline personal, that I do remember. And eventually it happened so much that Quinny had to say something back. I mean, you know, when you get pushed into a corner, you're going to fight your way out of it.
He's not the type of person that
He's not, yeah. And so they must have touched a nerve. Still walking up when Warner reacted like that, I don't know what Quinny said to him. I can only think it was something personal. I'm not sure, but it's a retaliation. It's not that Quinny's gone out of his way.
Yeah.
So it was a tough one, and it exploded in the tunnel. But it just shows you how desperate both sides were to win. You go places you probably shouldn't go, but all at the end of the day, it's all just to win. You know, you want to do your country pride, and you really want to win a series against Australia, and Australia really wants to win a series against South Africa. And that's what it came down to at the end of the day. Teams really just wanting to win, and good or bad things happened, all just out of desperation, I think.
And you dealt with it in the best way possible, scoring 2 centuries against them. So, I mean, remarkable for you. It's a great series for you. I mean, obviously you went to Sri Lanka then, and it was really tough for all batters. I mean, people were singled out. I've had quite a few heated debates with some journalists and some fans as well about that series, because it wasn't just one of you guys that struggled, it was all of you. So do you think you guys are struggling to play spinner issue? Because I mean...
Yeah, look, I think, I mean, people have their complete right to think so. I remember when Kuldeep Yadav and Chahal was here, was the Indian side, we struggled against them.
Yeah.
But they're 2 world-class spinners that are pretty hard to pick. So whether you're a great player or spin or not, if you're not picking the ball, you're going to struggle. So that happened, and then obviously Sri Lanka happened, which was spin-friendly conditions, which we expected. And yeah, we might not have thought it was going to be as bad as what it was. For me, certainly that's what I thought. The Australia series, there was 2 games where there was quite a bit of turn, and Nathan Lyon was bowling well, and we managed to get through it.
Yeah.
So I took confidence from that, saying if it is turning, one of the best spinners in the world, we managed to get through it. But then we got there and it was a lot worse than what I expected, and it was tough. Like you say, for all batters it was tough. So if people have their full right to think we struggle against spin. I personally, if I look at our change room, I don't think so. I think guys have got great plans to get on top of spinners, firstly to get themselves in against spin, and then to actually get on top of the spinners, to dominate. But it's just a bit different when, as you walk out, you've got that spin coming at you from both ends, and quality spinners as well, in conditions that suit them. It's a completely different ball game. So that's something to get used to, and it's a lesson that we learned as well. And that's what it was all about. It was a tough month for me personally and for quite a few of our batters. But we took learning from it, and I don't think it's too long till we go back there. I think it's within the next 2 years we might have a series there. So it's just quite important we don't go make the same mistakes, so that we learn from our mistakes and try, even if it's a different approach, don't bump our head doing the same thing.
So let's talk about ODIs, and obviously the big question is the World Cup. Faf spoke in his press conference about having a 15-man squad and not just having an 11, where all of us are writing about having what the best 11 is. I think that's a good strategy actually, to actually pick a 15 and then pick according to who you're facing. So there's obviously a competition in a way for that number 3 position, number 4 position around about there. It's uncertain still who's going to play that way, but your ODI career hasn't gone as smoothly as your Test career. What do you think has hassled you in that format?
It's been a bit different. I think sort of jumping a bit from opening to 2 to 4, I mean to 3 to 4, has been a bit different for me. But it's something I enjoyed. I think they asked me about it, would I want to do it, and naturally you want to be exposed to a different challenge, and that's what it was all about for me. It was something I didn't do well, and I've still struggled to not get it sort of sorted. But it's nice because it's something to really work on. There's obviously, like you say, a World Cup coming, but whether or not selected, it's still a challenge that you face. Yeah. So whenever you've got time to work on it, you know, it's an exciting thing to try and nail, to try and nail down. So that's the sort of my outlook on it. Like I say, I've actually struggled in white ball cricket, and I'll tell you as it is. But I enjoy white ball cricket, I really do, and it's a format that I still want to try play. Wherever it be, I want to stay playing white ball cricket. So it's about trying to nail down different game plans now, because opening the batting, it's quite a fixed game plan. It's pretty much the same in every game. Whereas 3 and 4, that changes a touch. So that's really what it was for me, but I enjoyed it. I think the Australia tour now was really nice. It was nice to bat on quick wickets, ball coming on. Sri Lanka was tough. Like I mentioned, walking out and facing spin immediately. So it's got its perks of being in the middle order as well. So it's about it's just developing clearer plans at those positions.
And you're comfortable that your time in England has taught you enough about the conditions there to be able to handle with the conditions?
Yeah, I think if I look back, I do watch quite a bit of cricket myself, and the one-day wickets in the UK look pretty good. It looks like they come on. I think the previous series I remember the series England played against Australia recently. They were scoring 400 plus, I think, in 2 games out of the 5 or whatever it was. So it shows the wickets are good, and that's quite exciting for us batters. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it if I do go. But if I don't go, for me, it's not going to be the end of the world. I don't, like I say, I told you as it is, I don't have a leg to stand on. I need to put in bigger performances to get selected first.
Okay, so this is end off on a happy note. Sure. Tell the fans, what type of person are you off the field? What do you like doing in your spare time? I know you speak quite fondly. We see Nicole on the screens over there as well, and she comes to support you. Yeah. What's your relationship like? What do you do off the field?
Yeah, whenever I'm really starting to appreciate time at home. Yeah. It's nice to be with your loved ones, with the family, and quite a few mates. So we sort of just generally take it easy. I'll spend the odd day on the golf course.
What handicap are you?
I'm off at 12. It's completely just for a different scenery and something different. So I actually enjoy getting out to the golf course. But most importantly, spending time with the people you don't get to spend time with when you're away from home. Nothing too much about it really. Yeah, it's pretty low key, and when it's rest time, we do rest well as cricketers. We're often complaining about not getting enough rest, which is debatable, but yeah, we still complain, and when we do get chance, we use it.
And are there any favourite spots you like to eat, or favourite places you like to go to?
The new Melon Main in Pretoria is quite a nice spot. I'm not sure if you've been there. There's a few restaurants around there which is really nice, and then I think it's Hazelwood area. Yeah, it's Hazelwood area it's quite close to Pretoria Country Club. Okay. There's a few nice restaurants. One's Culture Club, it's really nice. And we will spend a bit of time there, have a few drinks, very good food, sort of tapas vibe, very nice. So we spend a bit of time there as well.
And your favourite place that you've been to so far from travelling?
Around the world or in South Africa? Around the world. I really enjoyed the Australian tour now. Okay. The last that we were in Brisbane was incredible. But for me, it's nice to still be at home. It's my second time out in Paarl, only my second time, and the wine farms is great. It's a great sort of trip to do, as well as the bush back in the Kruger Park is always a nice trip as well. So sort of between those three, I'd say. But the one overseas would definitely be Brisbane so far.
And do you watch any other sports? Are you a football fan, or you? you?
I just watch rugby.
Okay.
I support Liverpool, whether I should say it or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't watch too much football, to be fair. I just like giving gears to some of the football lovers in the team. But I watch rugby, quite a bit of rugby, as much as I can. And yeah, obviously support the Bulls, support the Box, and watch it, yeah, whenever we can. We sort of put the braai on and watch some rugby. It's nice.
Thank you very much, Aiden. It was great to chat to you. I hope I can chat to you again sometime, catch up again after the series.
Thanks, Khalid. Cheers.